Okay, so we are going to talk about the control and coordination. The moment I talk about the control and coordination, in your mind should be picture is brain, right? Brain is the one who controlling unit. Yes or no? So we're going to study the brain. And coordination means via some enzymes, via some hormones are secreted by the brain or some parts. Okay, we're going to study about that. The moment we're going to talk about the nervous system in case of animals. Okay, so what is the nervous system? Nervous system is the one who has a neurons who going to transfer the information with via the impulse. What is impulse? Electrical signals. The communication between the neurons is called the very good. So nervous system is the organ system present in the animals to control and coordinate different activities of the body. If I'm walking, if I'm talking, if I'm using this pen, some coordination is happening between my brain and this thing. So brain is giving signal to right to the muscles of the hands. Okay. So this is the signal system is going on. The nervous system is responsible for sending, receiving, and processing message in the form of chemical signal called as impulse. So in examination, if you ask what is impulse, you have to write this definition. Please note it down. Sending, receiving, and processing. First is send, second to receive, and third is processing. It's called a impulses. Please write this in your book. Okay, so we're going to talk about impulses in detail, how it's going on. Okay, so what is impulse? A nervous system responsible for sending, receiving, and processing the message. Can you give me example of this? If the mosquito is getting bite you, it is biting you. What is going to happen? The mosquito is getting on the skin. Then the information from these muscles or this part goes to the brain. So can I get sending and it received by the brain? Now it's processing. Brain is processing something is there. You have to do something. So processing will be there. Okay, the three-step mechanism is there. Now the nervous tissues is made up of an organized network. The nervous tissues is made up of an organized network of a nerve cell or neurons. So who is a functional unit in a nervous system? Neuron. Neuron, if I draw the structure, it look like this. These are dendrites. These are dendrites. Okay, and this is called dendrites. This is a cell body. Nucleus is there, right? And this is the, yes, and this is the axonal end. This is axon. This is a, see, this is the cell body which processing and the transfer of the impulse will be there. This is the axon. Okay. These are covered with a myelin sheath. Which sheath? Myelin sheath. Now, in our home, the electrical wires are they're coated with a plastic so that electricity can't spread it out or petal shock na lage, right? Similarly, in this case, the impulse has to be transferred in a very directional manner. It should not get spread away here and there. So, myelin sheath is responsible for the proper conduction. Okay, now, so can I say the neurons is a basic fundamental. In case of kidney, we have a nephron. In case of neuron, in case of nervous system, we have neuron. Don't get confused with nephron and neuron. Okay. So conducting the information via electrical impulse from one part of the body to another. Why? How can do this? How can they do this? Suppose this is another neuron over there. So from axonal end to the dendrites of the next one, they transmit the information. This point is clear. Very good. Now, a neuron is the basic unit of the nervous system. Yes or no? Are you agree with this? The neuron is a fundamental unit of it. Okay. Each neuron consists of the three parts, namely the cell body. This is what? Cell body. This part is called cell body. Cyton. What is cyton? This is the cyton. Branch projection. This is cyton. Branch projection is called the dendrites. Called the dendrites. Okay. Dendrites should be there. And the long process from the cell body called the axon. So this is what? Axon will be here. Okay. Have you noticed this? Now, tell me one thing. If I'm talking about the synapse, what is the synapse? If this is a one neuron, okay, this is the axonal body, this is the axonal end, and is connecting with the, it's connecting with the another neuron, which has another dendrite. So this is a gap. There is a gap in between. That's called synapse. Synapse is a gap between the two communicating neurons. The, the ACH, okay, is a neurotransmitter. Now, what is the neurotransmitter? If this axonal end submit or secrete the ACH, it information get transferred. It is a one kind of ACH is a neurotransmitter. There are nicotine as well. Okay, so synapse is the gap between two neurons. Now are the thread-like structure emerging out of the brain and a spinal cord. Suppose this is your brain. So from here, the spinal cord is arising. So emerging is there. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? Very good. Now, nervous are a thread-like structure emerging from the brain and spinal cord. Now branch out of the all parts of the body are responsible for carrying message in the body. Brain, from brain there is the spinal cord. From the here, neuron, thread-like structures are coming out. That is called, what is called as nerves. So here nerves, till the spinal cord end, there are a lot of nerves will be there. Suppose this is a spinal cord, okay, example. So nerves are like this. They will be spread all over the body. At the periphery also, if you're touching your hair, you get a sensation because nerves are there. Types of nerve cell and neurons. One, sensory nerves send message from the sense organ to the brain. The moment I say mosquito is biting me, the skin is a sense organ. From the sense organ, it goes to the brain or a spinal cord. Why? Or sometimes we have to take the decision very fast. Quick response should be there. Reflex arc. Okay. That time brain is taking a lot of time as compared to the spinal cord. So we want to protect our body. So spinal cord is sometimes responsible. It's called a reflex action. Now we have a sensory neuron. That is the first type. That is a sensory neuron. What is the function of sensory neuron? क्या होता है function उसका? Tell me. From sensory organ to the spinal cord. Second, motor nerves carry message back from the brain. Now it's processed. Now we have to, brain has to give the information to the muscle. There is a mosquito, please do something. Okay. So they come the motor nerves into the picture. Spinal cord to all the muscles and the glands, muscles and glands. Who give the information? Muscle or the gland. To secrete something, okay, to do something for muscle, to secrete something to the glands. Glands को भी information जाएगा और muscle को भी information जाएगा. Interneurons or a relay neuron. Something is in between sensory and motor is called a relay neuron. Within the specific region of the central nervous system. These are neither motor or non-sense. What is the function of this? It just transmit the information. Right now, I'm standing in this room. Okay, I want to convey the message to the next room teacher. So I will tell you, please can you send this message to that person? So you will be walking there and going. So I am a sensory, you will be acting as a relay, and that will be the motor. Okay, so from one compartment to another compartment. Okay, now what is the reflex action? What is the reflex action? Before that, let's see the diagram. Then I come back to this again. Okay, reflex action is the action which is performed by the spinal cord. If you by mistakenly touch a hot object, definitely you do this. This is your quick action. Brain को पता चलने से पहले ही जो reaction लिया जाएगा, that is called a reflex action. So in this case, what happened? This is a skin, sensory. Okay, so warm object is touch. So sensory neuron is responsible for transmitting to message to the spinal cord. There is a relay neuron. Okay, from the relay neuron, now there is a what? The information is now coming towards the muscle via effector. This is what receptor. This is effector is going to effect. What is the effector here? Muscle in the arms. Who gave the information? Spinal cord. Now please remove that hand quickly. So this is a reflex action. Brain is not involved here. Why? We need a sudden response towards the stimuli. What is stimuli? A sudden response. Okay. So this point is clear. Let's go to the topic. What is the reflex action? This question, it has to be there in examination. They will ask you at anyhow. Okay, this is a very common question. Reflex action. A reflex action, differently known as a reflex. Reflex action is also known as a reflex. Is an involuntary. You have not control on it. It's an involuntary, nearly instantaneous. What is instantaneous? Very quick. Within the second, it's happening in the response. Now I'm walking, I'm watching my mobile screen, and suddenly horns appear. What is going to happen? I get a shock. Like, what? अरे मैं suddenly भाग जाऊंगा वहां से, right? Even हम जा रहे हैं, कुत्ते की आवाज आई तो क्या होगा? डर जाएंगे. भले हमारे पीछे नहीं है, but we will get frightened, right? So in response to the stimulus is sudden option. Whatever happening in the surrounding, you're getting the information. According to that, you are to react. So a reflex action is known as reflex. Reflex is an action generated by the body in response to the environment. Right now, I'm getting a cold air. My body is getting cold. So what is the response? Shivering will be there. Okay, goosebumps will be there. So that is the response. The process of detecting the signal or the input and responding to it and output action. You get an input, definitely your body or your brain, your spinal cord will give you output. Completed in a quickly. So can I say reflex action happens like this or very quickly? Such a connection is commonly called a reflex arc from sensory to the relay that is present in the spinal cord, from the relay to the effector that is a motor neuron. So this is called a reflex arc. The reflex arc are formed in the spinal cord itself. Relay neuron is present in the spinal cord. We just have seen that. Although the information input goes on to reach the brain, means your brain will come to know that, but after few second gaps. Till that time, you already remove your hand. In higher animals, most sensory neurons do not pulse directly into the brain, but synapse. Where is the synapse present? Between two communicating neurons. The spinal cord. Reflex arc continue to be a more efficient and quick response. Why we need a reflex arc? To give the quick response towards the environment. So this is very clear to you. If in examination, if the question asks you to write these things along with the diagram. Diagram is very important. You can make diagram as per you. Just show spinal cord. Okay. There's a gray matter over there. Now human brain. Human brain, when you talk about, can I talk about it's a CPU as per the computer? Yeah. Types of the nervous system. The nervous system is divided into the two types. A central nervous system is called as a CNS. Centrally, its brain and spinal cord will be part of the CNS. Who will be cover the CNS? Brain plus spinal cord. And peripheral nervous system. What is periphery? This is called a periphery. The outer lining of the body is called a periphery. If I'm touching my nails, still I'm getting the stimuli. If I'm touching my hair, still I'm getting the stimuli. That is the periphery. So periphery include the boundary line of the cell. और we can say हमें जब भी बहुत ठंडी लगती है, then we will do like this because यहाँ पे ज़्यादा cold लगता है. Nerve endings are there at the end of the. ठीक है? So central nervous system. What is the central nervous system? CNS. What is the inclusion? Brain and a spinal cord. Very good. It includes the brain and a spinal cord. It receives the information from the body and send out the instruction to the particular organ. In stomach, if you eat the food, definitely digestion will be in stomach. So information has to be from brain to stomach. Now enzyme secretion should be done. Okay, the brain has three such major parts or the region, namely forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. So how many parts are there in a CNS system? Tell me. Forebrain will be there. Yes or no? Then second will be midbrain, and the third one will be hindbrain. Now, this is a very important lecture because we are going to study their functions. The forebrain is the main thinking part of the brain. Dash is the main thinking part of the brain, a forebrain. It consists of the cerebrum. Don't get confused with the cerebellum, which is found in the hindbrain. Cerebrum is a major part. I will tell you everything. Don't worry. I will show you the diagram, but right now we are going to theory. After that, we will switch to the diagram. So it consists of the cerebrum. Can I say that cerebrum is a major constituent of the brain? Yes. And dicephalon. So in for a brain, what is there present? Cerebrum and dicephalon. What is dicephalon? Let's see. The cerebrum is the seat of the memory and intelligence. Who perform the memory and intelligence? Think cerebrum. And the sensory centers like hearing, smell, and sight is done by. So you can write in a book cerebrum is responsible for memory plus intelligence. Okay, memory and intelligence. Along with hearing, smell, and sight. Hearing, smell, and sight. Okay, hearing, smell, and sight. Okay. Who has done that? Cerebrum. Now, okay, the diencephalon is seat for the pressure and pain. So you have a diencephalon which is giving you pressure, feeling of pressure and pain. Okay, we will do this again. Now, the midbrain connects the forebrain to the hindbrain. Who connects the thing? Midbrain. Midbrain controls the reflexes for the sight and the hearing. See, in diencephalon, pressure and pain. Hearing, smell, and sight in the first part, cerebrum, which is the next to the midbrain. So, midbrain is the in between. So, midbrain also have the property or have the functions of sight and hearing. The hindbrain, the next come hindbrain, consists of the cerebellum. So, hindbrain, can you see here, sight and hearing. Okay, we'll do this again. Hindbrain consists of what? Cerebellum and pons. Cerebellum, pons varoli is there and medulla. Pons and varoli. Pons and medulla. Now tell me one thing, बचपन में सुना रहेगा, अरे यहाँ पे मत मार, छोटा बिंदु है. I mean छोटा क्या है? Brain है. What is that छोटा brain? Medulla. That is the transmitting. Can I say brain extension towards the spinal cord is this part? So the cerebellum coordinates the muscular activity and maintains the balance and posture. So cerebellum is responsible for maintaining the balance and posture. Please write that. Maintaining the balance and the posture. Maintaining the balance and the posture. Okay. The medulla controls the involuntary activity like blood pressure, salivation, vomiting, and heartbeat. Balance and posture done by the hindbrain. Which one? Cerebellum. Cerebellum is what? Balance and the posture. Then you have to tell me afterwards. Okay, you're writing it properly. Yeah. Now that's great. Medulla oblongata controls the what? Activity like involuntary activity, blood pressure, salivation, vomiting, and a heartbeat. A spinal cord extends from the medulla of the brain throughout the whole length of the vertebral column. Like brain from vertebral column is there, protected by the vertebral column and the backbone. So have you noticed this? What is this things? Okay. Okay, now we're going to study about the brain parts in detail. So which is, see, we have talked about that. Brain, I will write here. Brain, human brain is composed of first forebrain, yes or no? Then which brain is coming? Midbrain. And also the hindbrain will be there. Okay, now let's study each and some things which I wanted to do. Okay. Can you talk about the forebrain is composed of the cerebrum? No. Yes? Cerebrum or cerebellum? Cerebrum. So can I say that it's a composition, or we can say it is a part of the forebrain? That is cerebrum. Can you see that cerebrum is major? Now brain is protected by a cranium, that is a skull. That we know that. So in a forebrain, what comes first? Cerebrum. The forebrain is a mostly the part where contains the cerebrum. What is the function of cerebrum? Memory and intelligence. It is what? Memory and intelligent. Okay. Now, apart from the cerebrum, what are the part of the forebrain? Just tell me. We have just studied that, right? Yeah, fine. Now, midbrain. Midbrain is composed of cere. Yes, don't get confused between this and this. Can you see the midbrain? It is here. Okay. Now pituitary gland is situated here. Pituitary gland is also called as a master gland. Why? Because it's responsible for most of the yeah. Now hindbrain is going to have a pons, medulla, and cerebellum. Cerebellum. What is the function of cerebellum? Tell me. Cerebellum is a posture balance, right? Posture balance. Very good. Medulla is what? Involuntary. It support the involuntary. What is involuntary action? Like blood pressure, then blood pressure and blood pressure. Tell me, heartbeats, etc. Which is all okay. And pons is the extension. Now we have talked about cerebrum, midbrain. Now, what is the function of midbrain? It is the connection between forebrain and the hindbrain. So, it is the midbrain has the function of sight and hearing. Very good. And even the forebrain is responsible for the same. Memory and intelligence is performing, but along with that, it's also sight and hearing. Okay, so everything is covered over here. Yes. Okay, let's move to the next part. Now we're going to shift or study the peripheral nervous system. What are peripheral nervous system? CNS composed of the brain and the spinal cord and all the now things. We talk about the brain. Brain contains forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Okay, we talk about that. Now peripheral nervous system. It consists of the cranial and spinal nerves. It consists of the cranial nerves. See, we are getting a sensation of the hair we am touching because there are cranial nerves are there. Okay, cranial nerves are here, from here, this part. And these nerves which is going from the spinal, they are called spinal nerves. From the brain and the spinal cord respectively. So there are two types of nerves coming, emerging from the, some are from the brain, that's called a cranial, and some from the spinal, that's called no. Majority are from the spinal. Now let's move to the part. See, we talk about this diagram only. Now, how are the tissues protected inside the brain? Now, can you tell me, can you see the brain? Can you see the brain? It is a compact thing, compressed thing. Lot of things और बहुत सारी बड़ी चीज को हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं compress कर रहे हैं. So that's why these structures are coming, right? जितने ज्यादा ये structures उतनी ज्यादा memory रहती है. Now, let's talk about how are the tissues are protected. Human brain is protected by the thick bone called the skull. And inside the skull, there is a fluid called as a cerebrospinal fluid. It is act like a shock absorber. It act like a shock absorber, which provides the further shock absorption. How does the nervous tissue cause action? How they perform the function? First, when a nerve impulse reaches the muscle, the muscle fiber must move. If I get a message from the sensory one towards the relay one, and now relay has to be given to the motor one. So muscle has to be moved. The muscle cell which move by changing their shape so that they shorten. If I'm, this is the relaxed position. They are moving. That means shorter positions are there. So muscle has to be shortened so they can move. Muscle cell have a special protein that change both their shape and the arrangement, and that is called the myosin protein. Okay, the cell in response to move the nervous electrical impulse. When this happens, new arrangement of this protein give muscle cells a shortened form. So who is it? Myosin. Myosin is the protein inside the muscle who gives the actually output when they got a message from the motor nerves. Is this clear? Okay. Now coordination in plants. So we are talking about a human brain and suddenly we're talking about coordination in plants. Somehow mechanism is quite similar. So let's see that. All living things respond to the environment stimuli. What is stimuli? A response towards the environment. Plants also respond to the stimuli. You must aware about that. Mimosa plant, touch me not plants. The moment you cut, not to cut, sorry. The moment you touch it, the leaflet is getting closer. They get closed. So what's going to happen in this case? They give a sudden response. But plant also give a response to the light. Photoreceptors are there. Okay, photostimuli are there. Then towards the gravity, because root is going towards the gravity, and chemoreceptors are there. Okay, so what is that actually? We have some name for that. So let's see. All living, just 1 second. Let me take this. All living things respond to the environmental stimuli. Plants also respond to stimuli with the help of chemical compounds secreted by the cell. Plants being a living organism, they can't move, they're stationary, but they are a living one, exhibit some moments. Plants show two different types of movement, one dependent on the growth, another independent. Dependent on the growth and independent. The plant also use the electrical chemical means to convey this information. Obviously, they need to transmit the message, right? Now, I'm messaging to my friend with the help of WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is a what? I'm typing, so I'm giving some input. There is output. That message has to be sent on his or her WhatsApp. So what is it? Media. WhatsApp is a media. Similar way, plants also exchange the information to tell cell to secrete this or not, when you have to secrete something or not. That is done by the electrical chemical response. In our body, impulses. In plant body, electrical chemical. But there is a no specialized tissue. There is no specialized tissue such as a nerve. They just perform these things. Plants respond to the stimuli slowly by growing in a particular direction. Because this growth is directional, it appears as a plant is moving. If you have a plant is growing towards the sunlight. So can I say these branches and leaf are moving to the sunlight? So this is the directional one. Is this point clear? Very good. Now directional movement. This also called as a tropic movement. See, I told you towards light, towards gravity. These are called a tropism. These moments are called a tropism. Tropic moments or tropism. The moment can be either towards stimuli or away from it. First, positive phototropism. Who will show you the positive phototropism? Shoot. Shoot will be grow towards the light, but root will be negative photo because it's going towards the soil. Okay. Geotropism. Negative geotropism is seen in the shoots by growing away from the ground. In case of root, it's ulta. What is that? They will show positive geotropism but negative phototropism. What is phototropism? Light towards the light movement. What is geotropism? Towards the gravity management soil. Roots bend away from the light, right? They show the negative phototropism. They grow towards the ground, exhibit positive geotropism. Hydrotropism. Who will show the hydrotropism? Is a growth response in which the direction is determined by the stimuli of a water. Okay, this point is clear. Let's go to the next point. Now, chemotropism is a growth moment. What is a chemotropism? Chemo means what? Chemical. Chemo means what? A chemical. Is a growth moment of a plant part in response to the chemicals. Example, growth of a pollen tube towards the ovule. That means what? You have a stigma. Okay. You have this style. You have ovary. Pollen grain will be, suppose this is the pollen grain. Transfer of pollen grains, pollination. Now, in this, there is the egg cell, there is a synergids, right? And there is the antipodal cell. So pollen grain is going to form a pollen tube, which is going to go towards the egg cell. So who is responsible for that? A chemical response. So example towards the ovule, right? So this chemical response, I mean synergids are, see egg cell is here. Synergids are आजू बाजू में रहेंगे. So synergids are giving information. I'm here, come here via chemical. Okay. So that is chemotropism. Hormones are the chemical compounds released by the stimulated cell. Tell me one thing. What is the difference between hormones and enzymes? Enzymes are shorten acting, target oriented. Hormones are ductless. They directly go into the blood and they are all over the body moving. Like growth hormone has to be growth. ऐसा नहीं ना कि सिर्फ मेरा हाथ बढ़ेगा नहीं ना, this is not possible. So growth hormone has to be distributed equally. But enzymes, if suppose you're talking about the digestion, then stomach, intestine, they have to secrete some enzyme, particularly within that area. Target area is same. Okay. So hormones diffuse all around the cell. Are you agree with this? Yes. Yes. They are synthesized at a place away from where they act as a simply diffuse. What is diffuse? The moment from the higher to lower concentration. Different plants hormones helps to coordinate growth, development, and response. How many there are plant growth hormones also there. Auxin is responsible for the shoot growth. Then gibberellin is important. Okay, cytokinins and abscisic acids are also there. So let's see what are the role of that. When I'm talking about the auxin, auxins are the hormones synthesized at the tip. Tip में क्या होता है? What is at the tip? Meristematic tissue. At the tip, what is there? Meristem. Meristem. So they need a grow. They need to grow. Who is responsible? Auxin is responsible. This helps the plant in a grow by the cell elongation. So auxin cause, write this, auxin cause cell elongation. Okay. Auxin induces the shoot apical dominance. Shoot apical dominance is also done by the auxin. So auxin is responsible for what? Cell elongation. Which one? Meristematic tissues. Clear? Have you written that? So auxins are hormones responsible for the cell elongation. Now we are moving to the gibberellin. Gibberellin is that helps in a growth of the stem, seed germination, bolting, and flowering. What do you mean by bolting? If you take an example of spinach, if you they have a something season to grow. If you are growing in a different season, the plant become bitter in taste. The seed become bitter in a taste because the environment is not suitable for them. So bitter is the output. So we should not do this. That's process called bolting and flowering. So gibberellin is responsible for growth of the stem, seed germination, and the flowering. Then one more thing is there. What is that? I will give time to write. Just pay attention. Cytokinins are the hormones present in the areas of the rapid cell division. Who require the rapid cell division? Fruit and the seed. From the seed, if you take a seed from the seed, first radical should become, they has to be formed into the, then shoot will become, right? Yes or no? Shoot will be come. So they need a rapid division of the cell. Who is responsible? Cytokine. Auxin for cell elongation, gibberellin for the growth of the stem, seed germination, and the flowering, cytokinin for rapid cell division in a fruit and seeds. They also promote the opening of the stomata. Who is responsible for opening of stomata? Cytokinin. Abscisic acid is a hormone that inhibits the growth. If you want to stop the growth in various parts, it is also responsible for the closure of stomata. Opening of stomata, cytokinin. Closure of stomata, you know what is stomata? A tiny pores found in the lower epidermis of the leaf, responsible for exchange of the gases. So opening, you know that there is a guard cell. When the water from the surrounding cell is there, it become turgid and the pore become open. The water goes away, cell become flaccid and pore become closed. So who is responsible for that? Cytokinin for opening of stomata. Abscisic acid is for very good. And there one more thing, ethylene is also there. Ethylene is responsible for the ripening of fruit. Okay, please write this. Now we are moving further and talking about the hormones in the animal. Now, what are the hormones? First of all, hormones are the ductless. They directly, we can say, the directly come into the blood. So ductless is there. So endocrine system. What do you mean by endocrine? The moment I say endocrine, endo means inside, crine means to secrete. Okay, crying means Rona. But here, endocrine is what? Secreting the substances directly inside the body. System is the system formed by the ductless gland because they directly come into what? Blood, which secretes chemical substances called as the hormones. So endocrine gland secretes some the chemical substance called as the hormones. Endocrine gland releases the hormone directly into the blood. Hormones are minute chemical messenger thrown into the blood to act on the target organs. Example, growth hormones, um, pituitary hormones. Yeah, right. So we can say growth hormones are there. What do you said? Pituitary hormones are there like adrenaline secreting hormone, TSS, FSS, many hormones are there. Okay. So now, so what are the endocrines over here? So can you see here? This is a pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is called a master gland. Okay. The hypothalamus is a roof. or we can say this part, hypothalamus. Here is the pineal gland. Pineal gland and pituitary glands are there. Pituitary gland is called master gland. Pineal gland is the one who gives the direction to the pituitary gland. Then hypothalamus, this is the same in male and female. Then parathyroid, we have a thyroid here. This also secreting endocrine system is there. Thymus is also the endocrine system. So this is the examples of the endocrine hormone system who secrete. Pancreas is a bigger one, right? Then in case of female, the ovary secretes the estrogen one, right? And progesterone one. Here, in case of male, testes are there responsible for secretion of testosterone. Very good. So endocrine glands, different types of endocrine glands present in our body are prime pituitary glands, right? The pineal gland, the hypothalamus, thyroid, whatever you just have studied, those are the glands over there. Now we're moving to the next part. Yes, now we're going to study about the functions. First is the adrenal gland. Tell me where the adrenal gland found. Suppose this is your kidney, not this is your kidney. Suppose this is the kidney, something is there above. That is called the adrenal gland. It's called a flight and fight mode. Why? Let's see. Two regions of the adrenal glands are adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. If you cut open this, see in a kidney, we have this papillas, right? Structures are there, yes or no? So this is medulla and this is above inside is the cortex, right? Similarly, in adrenal gland, find same. Adrenal cortex secretes the hormone like cortisol, aldosterone, and androgen. So who secretes the hormone? Adrenal gland. Which part? Cortex part, above part. Okay, cortisol, aldosterone, and androgens. Adrenal medulla, inside part, secretes the hormones like adrenaline and noradrenaline. Adrenaline and noradrenaline secreted by the medulla part. Cortisol, aldosterone, and androgen secreted by the outer part, that is cortex. Adrenaline is also called a hormone of flight and fight, emergency hormone. Why? It prepares the body to face the emergency condition. If I'm just walking on a road, suddenly I found, oh, dog is there. So I will be running. So who take the decision? Who give the that sense emergency hormone? That is called adrenaline. So thyroid gland. What are the thyroid glands? Who secretes the thyroid? Who is responsible? Thyroid gland is responsible for that. It located in the neck, vertebral column, or larynx. What is larynx? It's called sound box. Okay. It is the one of the largest endocrine gland. Who is the largest endocrine gland? Yes, thyroid. The principal hormone produced in these glands are triiodothyroxine and thyroxine, T3 and T4. Okay. Thyroxine is the hormone that regulates the metabolism of carbohydrate, protein, and fats. That is BMR. Body mass ratio is, or body mass index is maintained by the thyroid gland. Those person who suffer from the thyroxine, they may gain the weight or loses the weight. Hypo or because of the hyperactivity of that. Iodine, who is essential thing? Iodine. Essential for the synthesis of thyroxine. Who is responsible for the synthesis of thyroxine? Iodine. If you are not intake of the iodine is not sufficient adequate, this undergo the enlargement to absorb much more iodine. Deficiency of iodine in the food causes the goitre. What is goitre? The enlargement of thyroid. One of the symptom in this is called swollen neck. Why they are swollen neck? This part is got enlarged. Why this part is got enlarged? क्यों हो गया? क्योंकि इसको कुछ भी करके iodine को absorb करना है. Okay. Now the master gland we're going to talk about. That is pituitary gland. It is located at the base of the brain. Exactly brain के base. अच्छा. In Indian society we have a culture to यहाँ पे टिक्का लगाते हैं, तिलक लगाते हैं. You must have aware about it. So exactly यहाँ पे, यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक pituitary gland is here. To make a symbolism of the pituitary gland is tilak. Okay. So they actually what chandan ka tila lagate hai, means they have a practice in India. So what they do, they calm down this thing. Or if you do the meditation and something, you have to focus on this. You must have aware about it. Why? Because we are focusing on ultimately pituitary gland. Whatever the hormones are secreted, they should be secreted proper way. Balance is done by that. Okay. So it is considered to be master gland as secretes many hormones to regulate the organ and the glands. Different hormones secreted by this gland include growth hormone, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. In case of ovaries in a female, in case of testis, okay. Then LH, luteinizing hormone. Now, in case of menstruation, unfertilized egg has to be removed. But how to give the signal that luteinizing hormone is going to signal that egg is not fertilized? So let's regenerate the egg. So luteinizing hormone is responsible for that. Okay. Then vasopressin is responsible for the dilation of the veins. Whenever the BP shoot up, shoot down, then what's going to happen? Vasopressin is there. Then oxytocin is called the birth hormone. Dilation. See, baby is coming from the mother womb. Definitely, that is not a sufficient area. So the bones has to, the pelvic bone has to be dilate. So oxytocin is responsible. Even oxytocin is responsible for the milk hormone also. Okay. Growth hormone regulates the growth and the development of the body. If there is the deficiency of this hormone, what going to happen? Dwarfism. The body, I mean, like the adult format should be heighted, should be proper. Height should not be proper, then it's called dwarfism. Chota rahega. Excess is called the gigantism. What is gigantism? A bigger, you can say, find a person with a bigger hands, bigger legs, and all. Okay. Why? Secretion is much more. Now we're talking about the gonads. What are the gonads? Sexual organs found in a male and female. Two types of gonads present: male gonads and a female gonads. Female gonads, a pair of ovaries. Ovaries is responsible for gives the ova, that is nothing but the egg. Okay, forms the gonad in the female. Ovaries are the female sex organ that lie on the other side. If you see the diagram, they here one and here one is there. Where exactly? In a abdominal cavity. Ovaries produce the two hormones, namely estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen is called a miracle hormone. Progesterone is so estrogen and progesterone are actually responsible for maintenance of a menstrual cycle. If the menstruation stop, it's called menopause. Around 35-40 years, menopause will be there. Okay, and the period is start is called menarche. Okay. Now, estrogen controls the changes that occur during the puberty, such as feminine voice, soft skin, and the development of the mammary glands. Progesterone controls the uterine changes. What is uterine changes? The mother womb we are talking about. Whenever the baby come into the mother womb, some changes has to be done before that. So lining of the uterus should be there because baby has to be feed on that. Nutrition should be provided properly, right? The compartment of the uterine will be full fledged. And what is a menstruation? Unfertilized egg along with this uterine lining. That's why the blood is found in the we can say menstrual cycle. It helps in the maintenance of the pregnancy. So who are responsible for maintenance of pregnancy? Progesterone and estrogen. Now male gonads. Male gonads are what? Testis will be there, right? Responsible for what? Testosterone secretion. But in male, estrogen is also present, but in a very low quality. In female, testosterone is present, but in a low quality. Okay, that is not that much active. So a pair of testes in the male located in the scrotum. Why scrotum? Because spermatogenesis. What is spermatogenesis? The sperm should be produced, right? But the body temperature is around 37 somewhere, right? They need a little bit plus minus 2. They need a lower temperature. So they has to be outside the body into the scrotum, which outside the abdominal cavity. Whenever there is a birth, the initial days, the gender of the fetus is a female. After some time, the testis will be descend down into the scrotum, abdominal cavity, and then it's become the male. So what is the first gender or maybe is always female. Very good. Now we move to the last part. Testis produce the hormone called testosterone. Testosterone control the changes. In case of male, secondary sexual characters are there, like deeper voice. Have you noticed the voice of a male? Pitch is very low. But in case of woman, pitch is very high. If I'm talking on a phone, voice will be spreading. But if the woman is talking on the call, you will not hear properly, but the voice go directly. So high pitch in case of woman, low pitch case of a male. Now pancreas, we are going to study a pancreas. It is located just below the stomach within the curve of duodenum. What is duodenum? The part where stomach descends, the stomach is joining to the intestine, small intestine. The part is that duodenum. It is both exocrine and endocrine. It can be exocrine, giving the secretion outside, and within it, endocrine. It secretes hormones such as the insulin, glucagon, insulin for maintenance of the sugar level. Diabetes mellitus is going to happen with the insulin if the secretion is less. Glucagon conversion glucose to glycogen. Somatostatin and the pancreatic polypeptides. Insulin regulates the sugar level in our blood. Insulin secreted in a small amount increases the sugar level, right? It causes the diabetes mellitus. There is the diabetes insipidus responsible for the more insulin. If the more insulin is there, whatever we eat, whatever the glucose is produced, get converted into glycogen. It will be problematic. We don't want more, we don't want less, we want balanced one. Now, pineal gland. Where is the pineal gland? Above the pituitary gland. Very good. So it is located. It is located near the center of the brain, dorsal to the diencephalon. What is the function of diencephalon? Pressure and a pain. It produces the hormone melatonin. What is melatonin? It's also called a biological clock. It's also called a biological clock. What is biological clock? We get a sleep at particular time. Who maintain it? But we are using phone. The body get a wrong signal that sleep is not there until now. So biological clock is maintained by melatonin. There is one more hormone is melanin. Melanin is responsible for skin pigmentation or skin color according to the sunlight. Okay, so don't get confused between melanin. Melatonin is the biological clock. Melatonin affects the reproductive development as well. Modulation of the wake up and sleep pattern and the seasonal functions. What is jet lag? I'm moving to the area from the another area by a flight. The time zone is different, so body is try to adjust it. So you get very weak and you get a sleep and all come because you just your body is confused now. Which time has to be followed? That's called jet lag. So in that jet lag, which hormone is affected? Melatonin. Now hypothalamus. Now we are moving to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is also called a roof, right? So what is that? It is a neuroendocrine. Neuro means nervous system is included there. It links the nervous system and the endocrine. So it is the endocrine part, but until unless it's not getting a sensation from the neuron, it is not going to secrete it, right? So through the prime pituitary gland, hormones like somatostatin, dopamine. Dopamine is called happy hormone. Yes or no? If dopamine secreted in the body, we'll feel, oh wow, happy party karenge, right? That's the point. And it is glands. So if you follow your hobby, you get a happy because dopamine secretion is much more. If you do such work, dopamine secreted, you feel that I want to do that work again and again. Now, parathyroid glands. These are the two types. Oval-shaped glands embedded on the dorsal surface of the thyroid. Beneath the thyroid, there is a parathyroid. It looks like butterfly thing. Okay. They secrete the parathormone. It helps the regulation of the calcium and phosphate ions. Who is responsible for the calcium and phosphate absorption? Parathyroid. Okay. Hyposecretion. What is hypo? Less secretion of leads to tetany, and the hypersecretion leads to osteoporosis. What is osteoporosis? Bones are not that much properly. Why? Hyper. More and more you take a calcium, bone are actually what? Hollow inside, not properly hollow. Minute pores are there. If those pores are formed, filled with the more calcium, if I get a beat like this or if I get a harm like this, my bone get fractured easily, too easily. That is osteoporosis. Mostly this found in a woman after the menopause because estrogen progesterone level are not that much sufficient. Then mostly in women after the menopause, osteoporosis is the problem. Now, last one, the thymus gland. What is the thymus gland? It located in the front of the heart, in the upper part of sternum. What is sternum? It's a sternum is here and the ribs are joining over there, right? And the lungs are protected. But sternum is the one whose the ribs are coming over there. Produces the hormone what? Thymosin. It helps in the maturation of T. What is T lymphocytes? In a they are found in a immunity. Beta lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. The timing and the amount of the hormones released regulated by the feedback mechanism. What is feedback mechanism? I'm getting so hungry right now. So stomach will produce the acid before I'm eating the food. So they know things, right? So feedback. If my stomach is full, that indication goes to the brain. Now please stop eating, right? So for example, the sugar levels in the blood rise. Who will detected by the cell? Pancreas. They secrete what? Insulin. If the now conversion is done, glycogen from glucose to glycogen, what's going to happen? Secretion is reduced. So here we talk about the control and coordination in detail. So these are the all the informative regarding this. Okay, I hope you understood that.